and you know, some other things that we got going on. A lot of music to come. So it's really good actually. I have no complaints. I have no complaints. The way things are going right now. So that's why it's a good time to you know, get some interviews and stuff, get some stuff going, so that you know, I can just spread the word. The music that I sent you, you know, that's some of the stuff we're going to be releasing. You know, just the project essentially, which is I, I I didn't have a date for it, but I think I'm going to do a fall. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, a fall release. I think I'm going to do. We have Christmas. What is this? Yeah, yeah, fall right before the holidays, or maybe even a holiday thing. Although I don't really get into holidays all that much, I don't really care about that stuff. Christmas, Thanksgiving, all that stuff that they celebrate over here in the States. But yeah, so shit's going good.
Well, dude, I mean, I think a really good place to sort of start, man. And obviously, since you mentioned it's been a while since we last had an open public conversation, but since
Yeah,
since we last did, man, I mean, I've had a couple of conversations with Hayes, who I know obviously is one of your artists, and so I think
yeah.
it's a good place to start, man. How did you find your interaction with Hayes and the time you spent with him?
Um, I he came over here to Detroit. He came over here to he was working with a well, everybody knows Bizarre, uh Rufus, who is you know, kind of like, you know, Eminem's. I'm not gonna say well, he, you know, they came up together here locally. So um he reached out to Busy to do a song, and they did the song, and then Busy was doing a showcase down at the Drews here locally. That's like, if I any of these spots that I name for anybody who's listening, these are like Detroit monuments. You know what I'm saying? Like if I talk about the hip hop shop on 7 Mile, that's a Detroit monument. If I talk about St. Andrews Hall, that's a Detroit monument for hip hop in particular. So anyway, so so Hayes flies over, and just so happened, Busy asked me to he asked me to hold down the night. He asked me to host the night. So yeah, he was just one of the artists that happened to be there. It was a bunch of artists from all over the country. You know, besides local Detroit artists that came to perform with Bizarre from D12, and then Bizarre closed the night out and performed it, did the last song and all the stuff. But yeah, so that's how we initially met. And then my peoples out of the Yak, out of Pontiac, they kept in contact with Hayes because they were sending them beats. My man Sin, he was sending them Hayes beats, and they were keeping in contact back and forth for like a year. Yeah, because it was, I believe it was like a year to the day. No, it was no, yeah, yeah, close to a year, but it was in the winter when we met. But at any rate, this is a long-winded story. The bottom line is that he came over here to the city. We met. He went back to Southampton. We kept in contact with each other. Then he flew back over. When he flew back over, then I started bringing him like around because he wanted to be Eminem's his favorite rapper. You know, he wanted to be uh, here locally. He wanted to soak up the vibe and everything that we have to offer. You know, he wanted to be a part of the, you know, Motown. He wanted to see where all the hits came from, essentially. So that's what I did. And I brought him around people, you know, here who are like legends in the city. And so he got to meet some of them, and he made some inroads here, you know what I'm saying? And so that's how we met. And then, you know, and I took him outside of Michigan. I took him to Ohio. Yeah, he was getting shows there because I got connections and people down there. So, you know, and then we dropped his music. We dropped his music in September. And the interesting thing was that surprisingly, it ended up being put in a playlist on Spotify, which is kind of hard to do. But yeah, so I mean, we could talk about that story more later if you'd like. But that's essentially how we met. That was like the introduction, and so yeah, and he's been back over since and done some more shows and performances. So
Well,
you know,
I found one of the fascinating reflections when I was speaking to him, on this, the Life is People, and I'd love to hear your reflection on this. But one of the things he really did speak about was just the tension that was in the air. He said the Americans were just generally very quick to get into an argument, and then out came the gun. And he was obviously being a native Brit. It's a very unusual thing to see guns on. We don't see guns over here. Well, they are here, but you have to go sort of like the very dodgy places to see them. So he made
right.
that he made that he made the reflection how that people were, at the time when he was there, were very tense. I think it's just because it was post the election, but how quick people were to, when they do get that anger, and it's something that I think something that the old school hip hop used to reflect on. I mean, as ironically, I was listening to some old Gravediggers today, and they were talking about saying back in where did the old, especially our generation, do when tensions used to happen between friends in groups and stuff like that. You used to go out and have a good old fist fight, man on man, getting the But now that's just all been replaced by everyone getting bullets out and spraying each other, particularly in America. So I know it's something you speak upon, but do you think that tension is getting more or less? Do you think it's? I mean, do you think? It's one of the things I asked Hayes when I spoke to him. Do you think what do you think the solutions to this are? Because we do see this, a lot of this, polarization. Something we talked about last time about how people are very getting into particular echo chambers. Do you think this has got worse or better since particularly Hayes was there? And
yeah, well, he was here definitely at a very particular, interesting time when he was here. He was here at an interesting time. It was right after the Trump election, so there was a lot of emotion. On both sides, there was a lot of emotion. But the gun thing, that's just in the social fabric of this country. Americans like their guns. And in a city like Detroit, everybody has them. I mean, that's just par for the course. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's in the culture. People grow up here in America. I mean, I used to watch my grandfather. He would, I watched him shoot guns in his backyard. Like, it's a part of the Americana, how the West was won. And so everybody has subscribed to that. But now what you have at the same time is, what you have very interesting is, you have you have what is the name of that organization? The NRA. Now you have what's called the National Riflemen's Association over here. They are a huge lobby, right? So they go on Capitol Hill and they lobby to keep gun laws over here in America relatively, what's the word that I'm looking for? Lenient, yes. I mean, like, you don't really, look, let me explain to you the gun culture over here. They have what's called gun and knife shows. Do you hear me? They have gun and knife shows where folk can go and buy. I mean, it's a whole warehouse just full of fucking guns. This is how we do it over here. So when you come from a place where you guys are from, where Now, I was born over there, but I grew up over here. But I remember my father telling me, because, you know, my father was in the Air Force, like, there's no guns. The police don't have guns in England, in the UK. They don't do that. And when they do bring out the guns, it's for some big fucking shit. Okay? You know, that's a special unit, if I understand correctly, that has guns over there. The average cop, they don't have guns because people don't carry guns. So there's no need for that. Over here, it's totally the opposite. This is a gun-toting place. For lack, you know, people love their guns here. And so you would be hard pressed for someone to, you know, for people to give up their guns over here. It's just a part, it's in the social fabric of this damn country. I personally, I don't carry guns. I don't give a shit about guns at all. I have no interest in guns. They have one particular purpose, and that's to kill. So, you know, you can talk about all this sports shit you want. You know, oh, it's for sport. Okay, but you still killing. You give a good goddamn if it's for sport or not. You going out, you hunting deer, you going to hunting whatever, you're still killing, okay? But people don't have no issue with that over here. And so by and large, that's what's the that is what's the general attitude of folk over here as it applies to guns. And do I see that changing? Nah. Not particularly.
Well,
I mean,
dude, no, I was just going to comment on there, man. I think one of the things about, you know, particularly if you've been on both sides of the Atlantic, is that America particularly, and I've got no dog in the fight at all on this issue, but, you know, it's kind of fundamental to what you are as a nation, really. Because the question I'm always, you know, I think myself is like, okay, I agree with you completely, dude. I mean, having a gun to me is almost like a karma thing. You're asking for trouble, man. So so that's just me and personally one. But I think, like, for the people who have guns, I mean, whatever their stance on it be, it's always that question of who's going to take them away, man. And that's the thing about America. America was based on that whole thing of escaping the tyranny of aristocrats over here and having the whole idea of, you know, basing it on the individual. So that's the deep problem in America, man. And like you said, I don't know whether it's ever going to be solved, because, I mean, last I heard, there was more guns in America than there are Americans.
There are more guns over here than there are people. That's and there's, I don't know, 350 million in America, some shit like that. Approaching that, close to that. But there's more guns than there are people. That's for sure. But here's the interesting thing. Now, you said something a little bit ago about that's kind of a hysteria, a worry for Americans. I hear this all the time about people taking their guns, or the government wanting to take their guns away. But I feel like that the government knew when they allowed you to have the guns. The government knew when they allowed you to have the guns that you were never going to stage any sort of coup. You've been pacified. Ain't nobody over here in America busting a grape in a fruit fight. Nobody over here we ain't doing what France does. But hell, China, Tiananmen Square, you know, you ain't about to see none of that shit. What you're going to see over here is some motherfuckers with some picket signs and some bullhorns talking shit. Talking fucking cash money shit. But they're going to go right back on Monday and work for them same goddamn corporations that you protested on Sunday, you fucking donut head. You fucking... So, hey, man, you know, I mean, that's what's going over here, man. Ain't nothing but a bunch of wolfing and bullshit over here, man. Ain't nobody gonna do shit over here. Okay? So you know, the government likes to, you know, create these hysterias and things. You know, it's called the Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, solution. They've been running that shit over here for fucking ever, man. You know what I mean? Just to get whatever it is that they want passed. Because they know that the American public is a bunch of pacified pussies that ain't gonna do nothing. You're not gonna stage no coup. You're not gonna pull no Shays rebellion. You ain't running up. They put it, ever since they put the goddamn fence around the White House, nobody, cause see, you know, hell, they used to go right there on the goddamn lawn and protest before they put the fence up. You know, so they've been very the government has been very, you know, now they're trying to put in all these new anti-protest laws since Trump has been in office. Now they want to come with these anti-protest laws. You know, because they, I mean, I guess that's just so people won't tear up property and shit, because they're damn sure not changing any minds.
Well, dude,
you know, they ain't doing tearing up property and shit as far as I'm concerned.
Dude, I think that you just hit upon the very key word there. It's mind, man. That's the when you break all this down, all the politics, all the protest, all the whatever, like you said, it's all yada 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 and chat and all that. When it breaks down to it's all mindset, man. This is the thing. It's not. None of this is going to change minds. And I think it's hilarious. I mean, one of the things I want to say when you just mentioned about that protest thing, I always find it absolutely hilarious that you get people at protesters and they're complaining, like you say. Not only they go back to their job on the Monday, but they're all sitting there giving it about they want the revolution, and they've all got iPhones. It's like, who do you think made the iPhones, people, man?
The revolution. Nobody's got time to be in the revolution because everybody's recording the motherfucker.
Exactly, dude. That's exactly the problem, man.
What the hell did Gil Scott Heron? Gil Scott Heron said the revolution will not be televised. It is not. But I'll be goddamn if. Okay, this is how bad this filming shit has got. There's a case over here in America right now where 2 teenage kids filmed this dude drown to death. They did not go run to help him. They filmed him while he was drowning and was laughing like, "Oh, come on, dude. Come on. Learn how to swim." They're telling him to learn how to swim as he's drowning. Okay? As he is drowning. That's how much that's how much the normalization has occurred in this country. I don't know about Europe, the UK, I don't know. I know they got phones and they pulling out phones and shit over there too. But over here, my nigga, and this motherfucker, let me tell you, that is a fucking, that is just a deterioration. That is a serious deterioration of the moral compass. I mean, you can go online on Facebook and watch people get their ass kicked and beat up and stomped out and shit all day long. And it's a motherfucker behind a phone filming this shit. So, I mean, it is just, we are living in such interesting times right now. But yes, in the final analysis, to answer that question, you know, I believe that it would do us a hell of a lot of good to put these motherfucking phones, just put them down for a week or 2 weeks so that you could notice just how attached to this shit that you are. I mean, hell, I've noticed within myself. Oh shit, my phone died, it's dead, I'm going to fucking pieces. How long is it gonna be dead for? Plug this motherfucker in and get a charge. Whew, Lord. I got beads of sweat going across the top of my forehead. I'm having heart palpitations. This shit is ridiculous, man. And then you gotta say, oh fuck, I gotta hey, you know what? I need to fall back from this technology. So, you know,
Well, dude,
I
all
yes.
I can say to that, my friend, and again, I have to always have to sort of think this as much as we do, and I say this many times. I do think we live in the greatest of days because it's a, as I said before, we've discussed this many times that we've got the tools in our hands where we can shape and build things. But equally, dude, we're not that far away. We're still the same essence of human beings than they were 200 years ago. And what we're seeing now with people with cameras and what you're describing, I mean, put it this way: just 100. Well, this is a really good fact. Is that the last public execution in London? They had to put on extra tube trains to get people there. Now that makes me think, just in our, space of my grandma's lifetime, people were going on a tube to watch people being executed. So we're not that far away, really, dude. I mean, I think if anything else, we've gone away from. It's just that part of the human animal, man. And I think all it is now is we've just got phones. But dude, we'll grow out of that. And I think you're absolutely right, because I think one of the things is a danger with phones, and I don't know if it's over there, man, but man, we have people here checking into hospitals over here for anxiety because of their phones and because of technology. And you're like, I'm always thinking this is like, we're becoming weak as a human species, dude. And it's a weakness, man. It's a proper weakness of humans.
We are speaking of the human condition. I do believe that was the topic of this particular show was to talk about the human condition. And I speak about it, of course, in my music and the tracks and the songs and stuff that we sing. But I believe that we all inherently would love to become better versions of ourselves if just provided the damn wisdom to be able to do so. The knowledge. When we talk about the human condition, also I believe that we must remember that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And let's not get too caught up in the mundane. A lot of this stuff, in my opinion, a lot of these human things that we're doing are very mundane, very, very, there's 7 centers of the brain. And a lot of this shit that is going on with us, we are still stuck in reptilian brain. We're still stuck in the lower, fight or flight, feast or famine, eat, eat, fuck, fight. That's why you don't necessarily do these interviews with a phone, but it is what it is. So what I was saying was that yes, dealing with the human condition, some of the things that I like to do is remind myself, that hey, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Don't take all of this stuff so goddamn serious. Really don't take too much of it serious at all. And I love the point that you made about we aren't very far, we're still coming out of that savage mentality. If people were going to see public hangings all that not long ago, and then you have to think about really the same thing over here in this country. We've only really been out of slavery and Jim Crow 50 fucking years. That's really it. So, I mean, our blacks and whites are both traumatized behind that shit. White supremacy, whatever you want to talk about that shit, whites are fucking traumatized behind that shit. Just like blacks are. And then you come to figure out that it was a motherfucker that was manipulating that whole black-white shit in the first place. All that was manipulation. So yes, the human condition, we still have a long way to go. There's a lot of, we've done a lot of fucked up shit to each other throughout the centuries. But, with time gets better.
Well, dude, on that very thing, man, and I think this is always, to me, I want to put this point across, and I've always felt this, my friend. It's like what everybody feels about what's gone on in the past, whatever happened, dude. Ultimately, when it breaks down to, it's what you're responsible for as a human being, and what I'm responsible for as a human being, and that to me is the greatest crucifix you can drop off your back when you realize that, hey, whatever happened in the past, I can't be responsible for that, man, good or bad. I'm only responsible for myself. So it's like you say, we live in this time where we're all meant to be feeling this collective guilt for stuff, and it's like, hey, I wasn't responsible for that, man. And honestly, I often felt this. Dude, I'll give you a reflection. I went to South Africa just after they pulled down apartheid over there. And I'd have people going to me like, oh, don't you feel ashamed about being a white person going to South Africa? And I was like, dude, apartheid's been brought down. This is all now intermingled. And B, I got no responsibility for what happened in the past 150 years ago. And C, how do you know that I wouldn't have been the person that would have been absolutely abhorrent in that and would have stood against that stuff? You can't blame me for anything.
Exactly.
The trouble is, dude, why should we carry the trauma? Like you said, we now in 2017 are still carrying that trauma, and ultimately, it's not ours to carry. It's not our cross. We just got to get on as human beings in this time we are right now on this rock that spins through space.
Right. I agree. I agree totally. It's about what you put your attention on. And over here in this country, the race thing is still so played up so much. But I feel like it's only because that's what people focus on. Everybody pays attention to that. Just, you can't listen to Radio A and Radio B at the same time. So don't rent too much space in your mind on certain particular topics any longer. I have been on this planet since 1970, and all the same shit has been going on. Wars. There hasn't been a war since I incarnated on this planet. There has not. There's always been wars. Politics, since I've been on this planet, they've always talked about abortion, never done shit about it. They've always talked about the economy, never did shit about it. I mean, they've always talked about the military budget. Oh, well, damn. I mean, when is the peace budget gonna come in? You motherfuckers can't get a peace budget? I mean, damn. Since I've been on this planet, it's been the same shit. It's a cycle over and over and over again. And I sit back and say, what the fuck am I voting for? Nothing ever gets accomplished in this particular scenario. The people would be better off doing it themselves. Thank God that's why we have the internet. You and I can link up. We can link up with like-minded people around the world, and we can form our own little slice of heaven, just like the people who created this country did, and who created other countries have. We're creating N99. We now have platforms where we don't need. It's such a wonderful time to be alive.
It is, my friend, and I think you just hit upon the very key of this, because we're only a year apart in age, me and you, man, and I feel exactly what you do. It's one of the things that particularly men of our age feel like, has anything ever changed, man? But I think the point is, it's like I said, right now, and this is why I say it, I feel right now, and I wouldn't have said this, and this is being real. If you asked me 10 years ago, I'd have gone, oh man, we're all doomed. But I honestly feel right now, these are the greatest days to live in, because we've got the tools. And it's great that, and I think you can flip this, instead of saying it's all, like you say, why the politics doesn't fail. Well, yeah, great. We know the politics fail. We know this fails. We know all the things that fail. But right now, I tell you, man, it fills me with so much. I don't know. I feel so infused with life about the fact that these things that you just spoken about, whether it's N99 or Bitcoin and things like this, these are all being shaped by us ragtags,
Yeah.
us
Yes.
lot. It's not the military,
Yeah.
it's not the suits, it's
Yeah.
not the corporations. And right
Right.
now we've got this short window, man. And I put the question right back to other people, and I lay it right to their feet and say, okay, great. I could point to people I know who are building stuff, who are doing stuff. I could put the question back, what are you doing? Because this is all it's about. There's no going people back at one end building stuff and trying to build tools if nobody's going to pick them up and use them. So it's always a question of what are you doing yourself to empower yourself and letting people know about this, because the only way we're going to really form what we want is, like you said, if we form the world we want, and that's going to take us all. It's not going to take one person, and it shouldn't be one person, because this is the other subject I want to lead you on about, man, because the danger about this all being led by one person is we just get leadership and we get the herd following, and we don't need that. I think it's something you speak upon.
No.
It's something you come through your music a lot, man. Is that the true, I think, essence of what you speak upon is basically self-empowerment. And this is what I say to people, and this is why I put the challenge out to you, to everybody else, to say, right, what are you doing? There's no point in just sitting back and going, oh, we'll let everybody else build it. What are you doing? What have you done this day? What have you woke up? That's what I wake up every day. Every day I look at myself and think, right, what have I done? What have I done? And I'm always feeling I'm not done enough. I'm not done enough. I'm not done enough because of my age, dude. Because we're the same age, and you know that mortality is running, ticking, and you feel you've got to squeeze. You've got to squeeze so much in. So it's always down, man. And this is the question that we've got to throw back to the creative people, saying, right, what are you doing? Because it's like I say, it's everybody. We all need everybody to join in on this.
Yeah, man, we do. And here you brought up the mortality thing. Here's an interesting perspective on that. So I wake up, the other day, some of the thoughts that I have when I wake up in the morning. And then I was thinking about my age and where I'm at in this, but right now in life. And I'm saying, yeah, I'm not doing too bad. I could always do worse, but I'm certainly not where I would felt like I should have been at this particular point. And then I thought about what my mother said, you're not really an adult until you're about 30 years old. And I agreed. I looked back at 30 and I was like, well, that's when I kind of started figuring shit out, So then I thought, well, damn. If I'm 46 right now, I've only really been an adult 16 years. I've only really been an adult about 16 years. And then I look at the lineage of my family, and a lot of them living into their 80s and 90s. We're all living longer now and shit like that. And then I said, well, I don't know if necessarily know that this is midlife right here, because if I've only been an adult for 16 years and I got about another 50, 60 on this bitch, I'm just now really getting to understand a little bit about adulthood. So I got a lot more life left than what I thought.
Dude, I'll take you one step further, man. I've always used this analogy, and I've never strayed from this thought in my life, my friend. I don't think there's such a thing as adulthood. I think we're basically just kids. And this is the thing. Basically, life is like school. When we were at school, dude, we had no rules. Right. We had we were basically us against the teachers and us against the establishment, and us being put in school for whatever amount of time. We couldn't wait till we got out, and we were all adults. We sorted out everything out. We had little groups, and we sorted out. We knew who were the cool people, who were the annoying people, who were the do-gooders, who were the busybodies, and we all sorted out. Then we all suddenly chucked out of school at 16, 17 and told we're adults. I'm like, no, we're not. We're just a bunch of basically the same kids we all were. The trouble is, the people where it all breaks down is that people do leave school at 18 and they go, oh no, now I'm an adult and I'm going to start behaving like an adult. And they're the ones you worry about, man, because they're the ones that come along with the rules and the dictates. And it's like, this is what it means to be. This is what it means to be an adult, man. And I think you're absolutely right, man. We need to basically, this is trouble with human people, particularly, man. We all need to basically just take a step back and stop taking ourselves too seriously and just realize we're just a bunch of kids on this rock just tumbling through space. And it's like we should just enjoy as much as we can while we could and stop taking things too seriously and try. And at the very least, let's stop trying to tell everybody else how to live their lives, because, hey, man, the first thing we've got to do is check our own lives and check our own existence.
Oh, man, I love that. Man, I so agree with that, man. I don't want to have an opinion on shit really at this particular point because I feel like that's the fucking problem. Everybody wants you to have it. Well, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Even the fucking news. I don't really like the news. I think the news is fucking nosy. I think the news needs to mind the fucking news's business. That's what I think the news needs to do. Because what are you? I don't look. I'm not there. Wherever the fuck that shit is happening, I ain't there. So why the fuck are you telling me about it? What the fuck am I gonna fly? Maybe am I gonna get on some fucking humanitarian aid and go? Possibly, but if I don't, should I feel bad about it? I mean, why are you telling me this stuff? What do you want me to know this stuff for? People deal with directly what's in front of them because all we have is the fucking now. Yesterday is done. Tomorrow ain't promised. We got right fucking now. That's what we need to deal with. What you're talking about is people having an individual human revolution. This is what I learned in Soka Gakkai International SGI Buddhism. Having an individual human, if everybody can have an individual human revolution, which means worry about your shit, motherfucker, you walking around here with diabetes, cancer, this, that, and stuff. You walking around here with all of these other, you need to worry about you. You need to take care of you. Get into you. Find out what's going on with you. You are so fucking correct. We need to have positive states of being. Fuck the circumstances, because they're always changing any fucking way. You know what I'm saying? So if you getting constantly jostled around because you got all these emotions about the various different things that you're going through, but they're just all experiences at the end of the fucking day. Me finding out that I became a diabetic and lost all this weight and almost died in the fucking hospital, all of that shit, that as being bad. Or you could perceive it as, okay, now I got something I got to do. What did I learn? Fuck, I learned how to be I learned about fucking nutrition. Thank you, diabetes. I learned about fucking nutrition, what you should and what you should not put in your fucking mouth. It made me become a better person, a better version of myself, by using spiritual alchemy, by taking those negative things and still finding the positivity in it. Not, there was a point, I ain't gonna hold you up. There was a point where I was really frustrated about the shit. But quite naturally, you're going to when all these things are happening to you and you don't understand why. And it seems like, especially when it's like a bunch of shit, everybody knows. We've all had that. But what I came to discover, Tim, is that it's not the fucking circumstance. It's how you react to it. 20% is the occurrence, but 80% is your reaction to the occurrence. If we can get better a hold of that, while we're going through this individual human revolution, where I'm saying, you know what, I'm not too much worried about what the fuck Trump is doing. I'm not too much worried about what the fuck is going on in Istanbul. I hope they got some great fucking food when I get over there to visit. Other than that, I don't give a shit because I have to have my individual human revolution. And if I have that, and if everybody else has that, we're good. We're good. We're taking care of us. We're maintaining us. Our body is a temple. We walk around here putting shit in our mouths. We don't even know who the hell we are. We don't have the proper understanding. So there's so much that this is what I come to discover at this particular point in age in my life. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I come to discover. Like, man, I need to worry about what the hell I'm doing. Just like what you're saying. And it just made me think about that passage in the book of Winning Life that a lot of the Buddhists read. And it talks about having that individual human revolution.
Indeed, my friend. And I think what you're speaking upon then is, in essence, life is suffering, and once you understand and you get your head around that, you can either be crushed by the suffering or use it, as you've just quite eruditely spoken upon, as a method to make yourself and empower yourself. And my friend, I mean, it's like it's not something you speak about a lot, but man, you went through that as a young man. You know, I don't know what age it happened, but you there you are. You know, you had to face that as a young man when you're facing losing your sight, dude. So that's something that's been ingrained in you, and you learned that at a very young age. So I mean, again, it's not something we've really spoken upon, man. But I mean, again, and had that the process of you losing your sight, was that a gradual thing, or did it kind of suddenly come on you a very kind of, you know, almost like overnight? I mean, how did that process come apart in your life? Do you have much memories of it, or?
I don't have any memories of it, but I know all of this took place in England. Because that's where I was born. There in the hospital, I was with these forceps, with those things that you pull the baby out. You know, this was the 70s and shit, so you know they was still on some barbaric shit. You know, so they had these fucking forceps and they pull you out of your mother with them. I mean, but I had a blood clot on my head, you know, and I have what's called optic atrophy. You know, so it's the optic nerve damage. So, the nerves are atrophied, kind of like how, you know, a person in a wheelchair, you know, big upper body, you know, toothpick legs, you know. So essentially, that's like my optic nerves are like that. And so it was something that. I don't know anything different. I went to school, you know, like that, you know. I had classes where I was with all the quote unquote regular kids. Then I had, you know what I'm saying? Then I had my classes where, you know, I was with my disabled crew. You know what I'm saying? You know, with my LoVision teacher. That's what they called them back. So, but yeah, you know, and so I just learned to adapt, you know, and used all my other senses: smell, taste, touch, hearing. You know, that got me out of a lot of different stuff. You know, because I still was out there doing stuff that quote unquote normal kids do. I didn't shy away from any challenges because I had this particular visual impairment. You know, I had a lot of family around me too that was like, kind of like, didn't treat me any different. You know what I mean? Too. So necessarily, I mean, you know, they joked around about me being visually impaired, you know, but so I had a good support system from my fam. You know, I still played football in the street. You know what I'm saying? You know, I wrestled in school. You know, I played basketball. My 6th grade basketball team, we won the championship. I scored in that game. You know, I still did all the stuff that, you know, normal kids do, but I did it from my particular perspective. You know, some people ask me how I could like hit them shots, make them shots. I mean, I don't know. I just threw the damn ball at the rim. I saw, you know, I didn't see it with the greatest detail, but I saw the rim and the net. I knew the shit was there, and I just threw the ball in that direction. Plus, I've watched basketball players on TV, so I just kind of like did the form like how I saw them do it on TV. You know, that was when, of course, when my father wasn't throwing shoes at me, like, get the hell up from front of the TV. Yeah.
Well, dude, on this very one, man. So look, let's project you to, you know, 20, 30, 40 years down the line. We know how particularly medical technologies going with, stem cells, particularly, and the actual, not rather than actually putting, mechanical stuff in, but actually doing it from a genetic point upward point. If they got to the point in 20, 30 years time where they could say, hey, James, look, all you've got to do is just take this little pill and you're going to have Eagle 20/20 vision. Would you take it?
Exactly. No, you're right. There's this guy, a friend of mine, he listens to this podcaster named Joe Rogan. They're already doing that. Like Joe Rogan talks about, I don't know if Joe gets it done, but like they inject stem cells. They're already injecting. He had stem cells injected. Oh, he did? Achilles, yeah. Like he had stem cells injected into his Achilles, and like boom. Like it cuts down like the healing time in like in half or some shit.
Surgery, and then he went to this one doctor and it's like stem cells.
Yeah, see, shit healed up. No fucking surgery. He goes and gets the stem cells and gets them injected. So I'm like, oh shit, they're already doing the stem cell injection. I mean, they're doing it in people in wheelchairs too.
People that recovering their eyesight and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, they're already doing it with the eyesight. I'm late, Tim. I'm late to the party,
dude. I mean, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, dude, you just go out and check. I mean, it's not a conversation for now, but go out and check CRISPR, which is manipulation of DNA. I mean, there we're getting to some really trippy stuff, man. I mean, it's like just doing stem cells, but they found how to manipulate DNA at its very core stem. Go and check out CRISPR, man. There's a great radio lab. There's a great Radio Lab podcast on CRISPR, man. Just go and check it. But just go. It's KRISPA, CRISPA, man. That is stuff. Okay. This stuff, as I said, dude, this isn't science fiction. They're already working on this, man. So as I said, my question to you was, if they come to you in, I don't know, 10, 15 years time and they say, dude, we got a solution. We can give you, James Evans, 20/20 eagle-eyed vision. Would you take it?
Fucking right. Yeah. Fucking right. Yes, I'm gonna take it. I mean, if they just so happen to put the chip in there too, oh well. I mean, I'm fucking going with it. It's where we're going anyway. No, I know. They are. They're putting the microchips in them. We just read some article where they're putting they're offering people. This company are doing it right there with employees.
Fucking their lunches, their meals, their open doors. Like the key to their fucking office is in their hands.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Dude, you want to go down? Dude, you want to go down that road? This is one of the things that I keep going. This is why I took it back to this point we made earlier on. This is why it's essential. People like me, you, the creative people, us people, stand up and take hold of the tools right now, because all this technology, like all technology, is basically a-neutral, and it's what happens with it. And one of the scary. Dude, one of the scary dystopic nightmare visions, and you were just discussing, and your friend was just discussing it, the idea of having a chip and you can go in certain doors and you can, dude, then think what that's going to be like once they use like currencies, and then go, right, okay, you can't have anything, no currency, let alone you can't go into any buildings, you won't be allowed to certain streets. Dude, there's some scary stuff coming around the corner, and that's why it's essential. And I say this over and over again. We can't just sit back and go, oh well, someone else would do it, because that's what we did in the 90s, dude. Dude, we're men of a certain generation, dude. I remember this in the 90s. I remember being in my 20s in the 90s, hearing about this thing called the internet and thinking, oh great, this is going to be it. This is all the things I wanted. This is what I've been growing up in the 80s and dreaming about. And what do we all do? Right. We all sat back. My generation sat back, dude. They all went and had kids. They voted in Tony Blair. We went to Gulf War, and here we are now. We all sat back, and this is what we must. This is my call to everybody now. Do not sit back, man, because if we sit back, they will take control, and we'll be sitting here in 20 years.
Fucking hands. Yeah.
Exactly, dude.
You're right. No question. No question. I mean, I didn't think about it exactly like that, but that is a very key point, simply because when you know better, you must do better. And the fact that we know this to be true, right? We know that it's not about the technology itself. It's about who is in who is in responsibility of it, or who does what with it. See, and so we want to make sure that regardless of what anybody else is doing with it, we're doing the right things with it, so that we cannot be so that the decisions that these people are making do not directly affect us. You know, we need to be able to make sure that we're doing the right things with it, because it is there for everyone. You know, it's open source. It's there for everybody. So we need to not sit back and say, oh, well, what are they going to come up with next? No, what are you going to come up with? Like you said, what are you, man, I can't wait until they, no, what are you going to do? What are we creating?
Exactly, dude. And I think half of this point, and this is, you know, I don't speak upon this deliberately, but when we get to things like when, you know, we're edging towards the testing point for N99, and these are things that, you know, it's not only okay, what can you do in code and stuff, but everybody's got something to contribute, and I think that's the key element to remember. Well, look, dude, as you can see, the light is fading behind me fast. Yeah. I wanted to finish tonight, dude, and you sent me a track the other day called Mozart Man, and it was obviously a raw track you sort of been working on. So while I'm queuing that up, man, I just want to say a couple of things. Again, it's been an absolutely, thank you very much for your time, dude, because I know how precious our time is, and it's been as an insightful conversation as we always seem to have, my brother. So again, thank you for your time. And while I'm queuing this up, just a couple of things. Let people know where they can reach out, where they can find you, and equally, just tell me a bit of the background behind Mozart, the track I'm going to play.
Well, actually, the name of this, it's not Mozart. That's not the name, but that was the name of the beat when I got the track. So he just, but the name of the song is Silent Weapons, and so what the inspiration was. This was right around the time that the Trayvon Martin case was going on over here in America, and so, you know, that was kind of like the inspiration behind that song, because what I was essentially doing was explaining the mentality of the person with the hood on, not as really being the hunted. And so you have to watch your front, your back, and your sides too. See, we know this, us that wear those hoodies, you know what I mean? Because of things like what happened to Trayvon, because, you know, we're, you know, that particular population is criminalized before they know it. You're already criminalized. I mean, that's just a perception. So that's what I was doing. I was just talking about how, and how essentially that how can you think you know a particular person by their appearance when you don't even understand their experience? Because, I mean, they keep everything so segregated over here in this country. I live in a city that is 84% Black in the city and 86% white in the suburbs. That's polarization. So when you have polarization like that, it's easy for people to be manipulated. You're being given information about them, they're being given information about you, but neither one of you are converging and trying to figure out whether or not this information is true. You have emotions already attached to this, and so you're easy to be manipulated. Basically what I'm talking about in that song.
LoVision. Yeah. There's crazy shit popping off right now. All over the country, you know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck going on in people's brains. It's a part of me, a big part of me really don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Because I broke out of the 12 lines to make up the third dimension box. I'm I'm in the 13. Christ energy. Well, if history is his story, then what's yours? They say you came from slaves, but are you sure? Shackles and chains, I only see him in them pictures, but seen 1,000 times your mental takes a picture. 5,000 miles, now we your niggas. They say we used to fight, but now we pull them triggers. Lock up the leaders so they have no direction. A bunch of kids with guns thinking they need protection. That's how you go from an organization to a gang. Eliminate any of those with a developed brain. Here come them boats and them brains with that cocaine. But in the hood, no fly the maritime training. We don't fly planes or sell boats, manufacture guns or make coke. We pop guns and sell dope. Was they in the hood like light posts? Well trained, believe what we were told. Our books claiming we were stole. Silent weapons for wars. Life is the battlefield, keep score. Silent weapons for wars. Life is the battlefield, keep score. Silent weapons for wars. Yeah. No longer will I be a scapegoat for your brainwash. Every night I'm on the TV with them handcuffs. Those images are for your subconscious memory. For warning you to fucking try to draw a sim in me. The more they watch it turn to beast with no compassion. That's not a human, it's a scary ass black man. You believe in what you see. Reality, you're watching the TV. Never mind them stories you were told. You ain't been there in life, you don't know. Never mind the shit they say. Become yourself today. It's just a story of us on the set. Life imitating art and we the villains on this movie set. Nothing's real, everything is permitted. Change the script if the O and you no longer with it. You believe in what you see by images found on the TV. Silent weapons for wars. Life is the battlefield, keep score. Silent weapons for wars. Life is the battlefield, keep score. Silent weapons for wars. Yeah. For a few niggas with money, no qualified Illuminati. YouTubers are formed for you to lie to everybody. Need your focus and energy so they stay Illuminati. Fuck that. Hold on. Yeah, even though they babies being grown doesn't give them knowledge, politic memories to a father assembly of your thoughts. You caught in the matrix, making it hard on yourself. Since birth, you been listening to someone else. So it seems you never have no time for self. We are all well trained, and we do what we so. That's why you work for others and companies until you get old. 30 years blood, sweat, and tears without missing a day. In the rain, hell, sleet, the snow on your way. Picture plan, paycheck, 401k. Living out of our means is the American dream. Cause we like to have the motherfucking best of things. Simply put, we like lands being led to the slaughter. It's 11:30 at night. Yo, who is your daughter? Probably caught in the paradox of the MTV pop culture generation. Sega Genesis, Sony PlayStation. God only knows where my kids will be facing. Deterioration, desensitization of the people. Every year we seem to get more and more evil. More and more evil.
That's just the message. So stop that. Cut it out, guys. Let's get together and hug. Let's have a big fucking hug all across the globe. Thank you.